This is One Ogden. I'm John Miles. Love Juliet has written hundreds of songs that she's been posting on YouTube and performing around town for years under the name Amber Shea. She's recently shifted to a more poppy and produced sound, and her first pop single, Alter Ego, released in September with great success.
My family's like my best friends.
Yeah.
We're really close.
Is it like a musical family?
So my older brother plays guitar. I think he took lessons once in like elementary, but then he just learned off of like YouTube and tabs and stuff. And so he actually lives in Scotland. He went over there for school and just stayed over there. But when he lived at home, we would like play music together all the time. And then my little brother, he plays Spanish style guitar, which is like so different from what I know. He can do like the finger picking and like
the
really
vinyl strings
fast
and everything?
yeah, it's so cool. I'm like so impressed by his talent with it. So that's really fun. And then my dad, we all grew up with him like writing songs and singing to us, and just always had it, I guess, around our house. He plays the piano and guitar, and he plays both of them by ear. Like he can just sit down and like think of something and just play it. Which is so cool to me.
And so did you start with piano?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started with piano in 4th grade. We had like these family friends growing up. When I was in 4th grade, we asked her if she would want to teach me lessons. And so my mom would like pay her, and I'd go over every week just to their house. And it was honestly like the best experience because since we were like, I don't know, we were kind of friends, there wasn't really pressure behind it. It was more just like we'd go over there and like play, which like made it really fun. I think kind of why I liked it so much. And then also like I didn't want to disappoint her, so I remember like one time I didn't practice that week, and I like went over to the lesson, and I just tried to like play the song, and I couldn't do it, and I was like, I just felt genuinely bad because I was like, I felt like I was wasting her time, or like I disappointed her or something. And she was so nice, you know, but after that I just like practiced so hard every week. So it was so good for me.
So you were you went to church regularly?
Yeah.
And was that did that give you a lot of opportunities to perform?
It did when I was younger. That's what my dad would write songs, and I would go and sing in church.
Okay.
And one time we did it for like, it was a Christmas kind of thing. And I sang one of his songs, or I was supposed to, but I got up and I like forgot all the words. And so I like ran off stage, and I was like crying. I was like, I'm never singing again. And so after that, I did not sing for like years and years. So I didn't really like take advantage of the opportunities after that.
So you ran off stage. Like, when did you start performing again after that?
It was after I graduated high school. So like forgetting the words and stuff happened in 1st grade. And so I never sang after that for anybody, but I would still like, I'd have piano concerts and stuff like that. But that didn't like scare me. I just didn't want to sing. But then when I started like songwriting again in high school, I would just like sing in my room. And then after I graduated, I was like, you know what, like, I think I want to do this. And there's kind of like, I feel like in junior high and high school, certain things that maybe don't seem cool enough that you're like, oh, if I do this, people are going to make fun of me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that played into it. So after I graduated, I was kind of like out of that circle and was just like, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to try it.
Like, I get that there's like the kind of like drama-y, like you can't do that kind of singing, but like singer-songwriting's kind of cool, isn't it?
I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like it would be cool if I did it.
Because you play quite a few instruments now, right? Like at least guitar and...
Guitar, piano, and then I have a baritone ukulele, which is really similar to guitar. So I just kind of picked it up.
I was wondering what that was. It's
that
that 4-string, but it's like a little bit wider on the neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when did you start like branching out into the other instruments?
That was, so when I started performing, I had a keyboard, and I like find all these things. I had to find like a battery operated keyboard, which was like really hard to find because, you know, when you go out and like busk or perform, like sometimes there's not outlets. And then I needed to find like a speaker that could like run off batteries, all these things. And so it was just a lot of stuff to carry around.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I just need to suck it up and learn guitar. I don't have to carry this big old keyboard with me everywhere. And so that kind of motivated me to learn it.
Okay. And so you got into busking?
Yeah.
Oh.
So Ogden Farmers Market, they have a busking, oh, like a program kind of thing.
Oh.
Or they just like will hire buskers every week for the market, and you can make tips, and then they'll pay you a check as well, which is really nice. So that was like one of the first times that I like performed was doing that.
Huh.
And it was just fun. I still like it a lot.
But so the songwriting came before the performing?
Yeah.
What started the songwriting?
Songwriting started at the end of 10th grade, I got a traumatic brain injury. I got hit in the head pretty bad, and then I was homeschooled for 11th and 12th. And so when I was in 11th, the homeschool was called home and hospital schooling, which is actually a really cool program that Weber School District does. They have like a certified teacher that will go into people's homes who can't go to school, and they will come in like once or twice a week and just help you with all your classes so you can graduate.
Huh.
So she would come into my home and teach me, and they like simplify everything to like fit what your needs are. And I needed like an art credit, and she's like, if you can write like one song, because she knew I liked to play piano. So she's like, if you can write one song, I don't care how long it takes you, I'll give you your whole art credit. And so I was like, okay, like I'll try it. And I think it took me like 2 or 3 months, and then it was just on piano too, no lyrics or anything. But I wrote that, and then I just loved it. Like I was like, it was the first time I kind of felt like alive again after my concussion. I was just like, it made me realize I could turn like all the things I was feeling into like something so much more beautiful, I guess. And so it's kind of an outlet. And then after that, I was just like, started writing like songs so much after that. I just loved it.
Huh. I'm curious, was the 2 months learning how to do things, or was it overthinking what the song should be?
It was, I would say neither, which is kind of weird. It was like, so I struggled with a lot of, like I had migraines 24/7. Like most of the time I was just like lying on the couch and just like chilling because I didn't feel good. I think it just took a long time because it was the first song I ever wrote, so learning experience, of course. But then like just fitting it in between like moments where I like felt good enough to like write, and then I would stop and I'd pick up where I left off and write a little more and put it into my little pieces of my life where I felt good enough to do it.
But so then you just kept writing songs after that?
Yeah, I started adding lyrics to them and then started singing, and then I would like show my parents, and I would be like shaking. I'd be so nervous. I'd be like, what do you think of this? And they were so supportive. They're like, this is so good. Even if it like, looking back, I'm like, man, I don't know if that was actually good. But so supportive, and it just helped me grow a lot of confidence to where eventually I was like, yeah, let's try performing.
And so then was it like, I'm going to go start busking? Is that what you started doing?
That's what that was my second performance, was busking, and I started doing that the whole summer. And then I also did like little restaurants and things. So like in Salt Lake, there was a creperie called Dolly Crepes. That was the very first place I ever performed at, and they were so nice. I had like got in touch with them over Instagram. I saw they had music like every weekend, and I was like, hey, can I come sing? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you. And I was so nervous. My voice was shaking again. Not like a good performance, I don't think, because it was my very first one. I was terrified. But they were so nice, and they were like, you should come back, and just like so encouraging. And so that's kind of how I started.
And so how long ago was that, your first performance?
I'm trying to think. It was probably 3 years ago.
And so then you've just sort of been trying to work out how to book more performances. You just kind of have to feel your way through that.
Yeah, that's been a learning experience for sure. I worked at a rec center. And I was like the receptionist, so I was always like by the computer, and it was like really slow during the days. And so I would just sit on the computer and Google like live music in Utah, and I would like email as many places as I could and be like, do you need a singer? Do you need a performer? And so that's kind of what I focused on, was just getting into that and writing as much as I could. And yeah.
Well, and so how many of those live performances do you think you've done now over the last 3 years?
Man, I would say probably like close to 100 every year.
Wow.
Like maybe the first year was a little slower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when did you first start posting YouTube videos?
That was before I ever performed. So that was more at the beginning when I started writing songs. I'm sure you can still find them on there. I don't know if I should say that because I don't know if I want people to find them, but like I never take them down just because like there's old videos of like Ed Sheeran when he's like 16.
Yeah.
And you can find him and he's like, you can just see his growth from like then to now. And I think that's so inspiring. So I'm like, you know what, like maybe one day someone will find that and see like, oh, you know what, she wasn't very good, but she's like really good now. I just need to like practice and I can get there.
Right. I think you get to a point where it's like a flex to have all these old, it's showing,
like
all
I
your
worked for
development.
this. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So the performing really kind of started online.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with YouTube, I think that was probably in 12th grade, maybe 11th, but I think 12th. I just started posting videos and I totally thought they would blow up overnight. And no, it was like 5 views and I always say I was like probably 4 of them. So just would always just kept posting. It was good for me to like, I felt like once I wrote a song and then I would like record it and post it, then I was like, okay, now I can move on and like write another song. And it just was almost like a journal for me. Like to have those videos online, it would like document, this was where I was like 2021 in November and like just caught little snippets of my life, I guess, which is fun.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you had like a ton, like you were pretty consistent with it, right?
Yeah.
How many songs do you think you wrote over that period?
A lot. So there was one point where I did like this challenge where I wanted to write a song every day. And it like took me a long time. Like at first it would take me, like months to write one song and then I'd get faster and then started writing one every day and like probably half of them were like ones I couldn't like post because I'm like, no, these are too bad or whatever, but I would still write them. So that just, I feel like helped me really get into like a good flow of songwriting. And then I would just post maybe like one a week and choose my favorites.
And so did it kind of feel like you were building 2 followings at once? There's sort of the local in-person audience and then the online audience?
Yeah. I think it still feels like that a lot too.
Really?
Like I'll do TikTok lives, which is like you can live stream, I guess, and I'll sing my songs and talk to people. And there's like, it's really fun to connect with people in like Florida or like different, just like clear across, And it's like, they've never met me, but it's like they show up every week to listen and are like, I can't wait to like actually see you in a show. And then there's like families or people I meet like at my shows here in Utah and like just give me like the sweetest feedback and memories and things. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool. So you do a lot of live online?
Yeah.
And it's mostly on TikTok?
Yeah.
I see. You kind of had to learn how to make it sound good on your computer, right? Was that all just kind of trial and error?
Yeah, that stressed me out so bad. I was like, this is like, some people love like mixing and mastering and like production and like getting the sound quality to be so good. And like I always want that for my songs, but for me to like do it personally, I have no like love for that.
Yeah.
It just seems like way too
I don't know, like, time, attention to detail kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I just don't enjoy it. So I would plug my mic into GarageBand and then like my piano into like the computer and like all these things, and half the time it would like not even work. Like I would plug in my mic and I would like not record and I would just be like, what is happening? But eventually I found like I just would leave it like plugged in. I found one way to like make it record. I was like, this is what we're doing.
And so then at some point you sort of decide to like rebrand from what you were doing to Love Juliet, is that right?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I would use hashtags, and then there was like a talent scout that had seen one of my hashtags. And so they ended up like meeting with me, and I ended up working with like this artist development team, I want to say. And so they recommended that I get like a stage name and kind of like rebrand for like multiple reasons. Like one, you can like be really creative with it and like come up with a whole brand around like you as an artist.
I was gonna say, like, it is a good brand. Like, I really like Love
Thank
Juliet.
you.
It sounds good. Like, you can kind of think about it for a minute and try to think about what it means,
Thank you. Yeah. When I came up with the name, I always wanted to like start this thing where Love Juliet was like I don't know. It has like love in the name. I want it to be like something that always was like adding good energy to the world and like lifting people up. And I always like thought of like Romeo and Juliet too. And like I love like those, I don't know, Shakespearean like dramatic like love stories and things like that. And there was something cool I wanted to do with it, with like maybe writing like love letters, I guess. And like each of my songs were like kind of love letters to like the world, and I would sign off like Love Juliet. And now I kind of want to start this thing with like Thanksgiving coming up and Christmas. So they were like, I'm going to start a challenge on my Instagram. So you can join it if you want.
I will.
I want people to write a letter to somebody that they like love, or somebody that like they think is going through a hard time, just like an anonymous letter, and like just giving them encouragement or like things that you're grateful for about them. And then I write like PS, like pass this forward, and like write another anonymous letter and write it that way. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it, but some kind of challenge that's like the Love Juliet letter challenge.
Yeah,
so I think it'll be fun.
I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. But that seems like, okay, you built this following with, I don't know if you want me to say your other name, except for that you've got, I didn't know about Amber Shea until talking to you, but then you've got those 3 other songs that are poppy, that are like huge.
Oh, thank you.
And they're really good also. But so that's got to be difficult to sort of try to move that over, right?
It was, yeah. It still is sometimes. Like, because I was just trying to take advice from like the team that I was working with, you know, take advice where it's given. And so, but I would like go to shows or like places, and people be like, Love Juliet, like that's not your name, or like, why did you do this? It kind of like be like suspicious about it or something. I don't know, just like made me feel self-conscious. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm just trying to like be an artist and like be creative and like have it grow. And I don't know, there's like a lot of artists that you think like their real names are like their artist name, but it's actually not. It like blew my mind how many people. But I think it's kind of cool too, because like I think it's like been helpful to have it for privacy as well.
Oh yeah.
Like if I go to shows by myself, and like I've had some situations that aren't like the best, you know, and it's like, hey, I'm glad like I have Love Juliet on like my poster instead of like my real name, so that there's just that extra added measure of safety or privacy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And like, people don't ask a band why they're called, I don't know, Radiohead.
Right.
The Amber Shea stuff, though, never really got onto Spotify. You never really...
It's like, now it's just all going to be, as I move forward, like combined together. So I think I'll even take like old songs that I've written and eventually get them like produced and just release it as Love Juliet. Because I'm like, it's still all, like I'm Amber Shea and like Love Juliet, you know, same person.
Right.
It was just kind of like, yeah, the stuff I released at the time, I didn't like know any producers or how to like go about any of that. So still working on like getting all that stuff out on all the platforms that I want and in the way I want.
Yeah. The Amber Shea stuff that's on Spotify is that kind of new sound of yours. And so I just am wondering how that kind of all came about.
That's a good question. There was a producer on Instagram who was an EDM producer, and he had reached out to me and was like, hey, like, I have these songs, do you want to write the lyrics and the like melody over the beats? And then we can like release it together. And I had never worked with a producer, and so I was like, that's a really cool experience, like, of course. And so I definitely reached outside, because like before that it was just like piano and vocals, like slower ballads, things like that. And then I went to EDM, which is like, it was super fun, but not my genre that I like really want to go into, right? And then with Love Juliet, I wanted to focus on being more like pop. And like my dream is to like be the kind of performer that's like super versatile, like can go and do like a pop song and is like dancing on the stage, and then can like sit at the baby grand and like sing a ballad. And so I kind of, with the production, went towards pop.
That's not the guy who helps you produce your Love Juliet stuff, or is it?
So 2 different guys. Yeah, sorry, that was
people.
kind of confusing.
No,
but I went to Nashville and recorded with a different guy for the pop songs. That was a really cool experience.
Oh,
and
I see.
I loved working with that producer, so I'm hoping I will be able to work with him on like future releases too.
Uh-huh. Well, and so how did that happen?
So that was around the same time I met with my development team and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And what they're really good at is like helping you make connections in like the industry. And they knew like a bunch of producers and were like, oh, I think you'd work really well with this one. And that's how I ended up meeting him.
Oh.
And Alter Ego that I released, I actually wrote, I had a really cool experience. I had like all the songs I've written, like hundreds, I just wrote in my room, like by myself. But I like got the experience to like write with like other writers on Alter Ego, which was really cool. We all like, there was me and 2 other writers, and we all got to like collaborate and like it was like so fun because I don't know, I feel like when you write by yourself, you can kind of get stuck in like your own patterns, you know, and then seeing like how other people write as well, or like getting their opinions and then like giving your opinion, and all like comes together to create like something totally different and like opens your eyes.
Uh-huh.
So that was like, I don't know, just cool like working through all of it.
Yeah. How'd you get connected with the writers?
That was also through the
wow.
same like development team. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
It does sound like it was pretty, I don't know, worthwhile. Do you feel like that was?
For sure.
I'm assuming it was an investment. It
Yeah.
was a good investment.
Yeah, my parents actually surprised me because we had like went and met with the guy, I guess, and it definitely like was an investment, and so I didn't think that we were gonna do it, and I was still like coming out of all like my concussion, like traumatic brain injury stuff, and it was actually like a year later after we met with him, and I had just like been writing every day, been like performing like totally all the way like 100% in, and I just remember I was like getting kind of sad because I was like, this isn't going anywhere, and my mom ended up surprising me, and she's like, I need you to come downstairs, and we had the development team that I met with, they were on Zoom, and they're like, hey, like, how's it going? We just wanted to check in now that we're working together. And I was like, what? And so my parents surprised me, and that's kind of how it all started, which is so sweet. Like, I feel so blessed. But yeah, definitely worth it. It's good to have somebody, like, for me, not knowing how to get into the industry, and having somebody to like kind of guide and help with that was really nice.
Yeah. Well, and how long have you been working with them then?
Almost 2 years actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about you, is like your dedication is very clear. Like your YouTube channel is just, and it's new song after new song. Every once in a while there's a cover, but you're just like writing all the time, and then you're recording it and putting it out. And then, I mean, your online following is impressive, like your streams and stuff. So like does it feel, I don't know how to ask the question, like do you feel the online audience and all of that? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but me, I'm like a roller coaster, I think. So like some days I'm like on the highs, and I'm like, everything is going like perfect, like I'm so on track, and I'm like have somebody reach out from a live stream, and like they want to send me like a letter just like saying thank you and like how much like a song's meant to them, and I'm like, this is so cool. And then other days I'm like hit the lows, and I'm like, how is this gonna work? How am I gonna like do this for my life and like make it into a sustainable career? And like, so I'm all over the place. But I think between the highs and lows, there's a momentum that's just like, I'm gonna do this no matter what and find a way.
Yeah, that's almost the cost of being that dedicated, is like you're working so hard, and so it is sometimes gonna feel like, is all of this going into something for real?
Yeah.
And so there's more Love Juliet to come out?
Yeah.
What's the plan with that?
I don't know if I can like officially say when, but I do have a date of when my next song's coming out. So it'll be soon.
Nice.
It's already like recorded, ready to go, like really excited about it. And then after that, we'll see what happens. I really want to record, like if I could just record an album straight off the bat, I kind of want to really do that. I have enough songs that I could, you know. So want to try something like that. I'm really interested in like sync licensing. So even like I would love to write for like movies or for like a television series, like just really any opportunity where I can like write or perform. Like I'd love to go like be an opener for an artist on tour, or like just really any opportunity where I can sing and write, I will be happy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Do you sometimes sit down and try to write a pop song now? And is that like a different process?
Yeah. There was a while, like right before Alter Ego came out, I was like, that was my favorite song for like a long time. I was like, this is the best song I've ever written. And I would like sit down to write, and I couldn't write because I would like try so hard to write something better than that or equal to that. That I could it took out all the creativity out of it because I was trying too hard.
Yeah.
And so now I just sit down and like, instead of, I guess, trying to like write a song that I think everyone will like, I just am like, okay, like, how am I feeling and like, how do I want to express this? Because, you even listen to like, there's so much music out there. You turn on Spotify and there's like songs that are super slow that people are like, that's their favorite song. And then there's like songs that are super fast and upbeat, and that's like someone else's favorite song. So I kind of just decided, you know what, as long as I'm always writing and trying to grow and trying to be my best and like expressing how I feel, I'm always hoping that there's somebody who will like what I put out,
Yeah. And do you ever take old songs and try to convert them into pop songs?
I would say yes and no. Like, definitely have tried that before. And that's something, like, I think producing is interesting because I think you can take a song and, like, depending on how you, like, produce it, I feel like you could make it, like, a country song or a pop song or, like, I don't know, just the way you produce it can change a lot. So I think that's something, like, with working with producers is, like, just wanting to make sure, like, their style and, like, the vision kind of matches, like, how I vision it as well. So I think with production, maybe, like, going more towards pop and, like, converting more ballads, like, into that, and then also keeping some songs just in their true original form.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, did you only do the 2 songs with the producer in Nashville?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this is like tasteful to say on here, but I was like, it like cleared out my bank account, so I would totally have done more, but that was why.
I don't want to, don't answer if you don't want to, but I am curious about it. Like, to me, you getting 20,000 streams in a month on your first release should help support your career somehow. But my understanding of Spotify is you don't really see much benefit from that. Is that right?
Yeah. At least from that I know of, like I haven't seen like any. I think you get like cents, like 0.0 something like cents off of like one stream. So you have to get like a lot of streams.
Yeah, like 100 streams is $1 maybe.
Well, I think it's like even less.
No, a couple cents.
Yeah. So you have to get a lot of streams. But I'm hoping eventually like that will become like a sustainable way to make money, and at least it's like exposure, and got the songs like trying to enter into like song competitions or like hopefully like sync licensing where you can make more money and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's just so it seems tough. Like, that's the most visible thing for people to tell you have an audience, but it like almost does you no good beyond that.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
But no, I was wondering something else about that. Because then you have those you have that song with that other guy that's got like 1 million streams, and I was guessing because it was with him that he kind of I don't know, owns it or something. Like, you don't really see much benefit from that either? These hugely successful songs?
Yeah, with those, he was actually really easy to work with, really nice. And so what we did is he was like, if you write the lyrics and like the melody, and I write all the beats and produce it and whatever, he's like, we'll share like everything 50-50.
Oh.
And I think he must have done a lot of work. Like, I didn't understand back then, like, how much you have to like promote or try to get your songs onto playlists for people to like find them even and like listen. And so that one, like, that was actually funny because we like released our song, the EDM one, and I like woke up the next day. I think it had like a lot of streams, like way more than I was expecting. I think now, it has like, I haven't checked it for a long time. I don't know, but it had
It's like
at
900
least.
something thousand. You're close to
Okay.
$1 million with it.
I didn't actually know that because last time I checked it was like 500,000, which was like so cool, right?
Yeah.
And so I think from that I did make like a couple $100,
Huh.
which was so fun because I was just like, this is awesome.
Right. Have you started doing shows with the Love Juliet stuff at all?
Not too much. I'll still like sing, so like Alter Ego, the song that just came out. I'll sing that one sometimes live, like when I perform. But I almost don't like to yet. Like I would rather just like, I don't know. For me, like for Love Juliet, I have like this image in my head of like how I imagine like the stage being and like the lights and like how I want to perform it. And then if I'm just like out busking on the street, it like doesn't fit that like
Yeah. Right.
dream I have to go with it.
Yeah.
And so I do perform it, but I focus more on just like my acoustic stuff, and people seem almost like more perceptive to that right now, because I think there's something between like when you perform live and just like busking or whatever, you know, people like to see that you're like playing an instrument, and then
Yeah.
versus just like singing to a track.
Yeah, right. I could see that. But that makes sense because I think I've seen you do like a kind of acoustic version of Alter Ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll usually perform when I do live.
And yeah, that makes sense. Like it does have kind of a more booming sound with the pop, and so you got to have that kind of atmosphere. Well, and that's hard. Like I've seen that kind of show in a bar before, like at Kamikazes or something, and it's hard to like, I don't know, maybe their sound isn't quite good enough. Like you need good sound quality for that, and I don't know. That's interesting. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
You're still doing like live online stuff?
Yeah.
People follow you for that?
Yeah, on TikTok. So I'll do it like 3 nights a week, with like a schedule. I'll get on at certain times so people know I'm on there, and sing and chat. And it's fun really to like, there's songs now that I've been doing it long enough where people will like request my own like original songs, and they have like their favorites, which is really cool to me to like see like people who have no like bias towards me, not like my parents or anybody, and just like see which songs are their favorites and what people like the best. It's kind of cool.
All right, I think that was all my questions.
Okay.
I think I hit everything.